Well, hey there, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Island Church Weekly
Hmm.
Podcast. I am joined, as always, by Pastor Will. Pastor Will, how you doing today?
It's a good morning, Matt. Good to see you. How are things
Good.
on the north part of Tampa?
They're nice. They're much better than they were. I was in Myrtle Beach earlier this week, which typically is a beautiful spot. Unfortunately, it was gray and overcast and couldn't even see the ocean from my hotel. So it was frigid cold. So I got off the plane back to Tampa yesterday. I was overjoyed to not have to be wearing a sweater and be enjoying this Tampa weather again. It's not the sunshiniest of days on the most Florida day, but I'll
Right.
take it over 30 degrees and windy.
That's right. That's a good word. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not always sunshine. We've had a few days a little overcast, but by and large,
we're
not much we can
fortunate.
complain about.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, speaking of things that you can't really complain about, how was Sunday at Island Church?
Sunday was another good week for us. We had my friend um, Paula and Randy Adams. Randy just did a phenomenal job um, speaking on my behalf, and he's just quite a gifted speaker and sermon delivery, and he just does a good job. He's the executive director of the Northwest Baptist Convention, which is Western Idaho, but
Yeah,
then all of Oregon and Washington, two of the most difficult states in terms of just non-religion.
yeah,
In terms of some of the studies, Seattle and Portland are just very much unchurched, even unreligion. They don't have
yeah.
much religion. So he's in a very difficult area. But he did a great job, and he talked about some of the work. And Northwest, we actually partner with them. They're one of our strategic mission partners. We're not going to be in the Northwest,
Yeah.
so we really want to see some things going on. So we've chosen to partner with the Northwest Baptist Convention, and so
Yeah.
it's one of our partners. And so it's great to have him and Paula there speaking. And I know that it ministers to our people. And if somehow weren't in the service, I would encourage you to take a look at that. We also had some additional new guests. We had some people that brought their family members. And that's always a good thing when they're in town. We encourage you to bring them with you.
Absolutely.
Um, and we had some other guests that were just new to our church. And then certainly we had some snowbirds that were down for a short period of time. But we're always glad to see them as well when they're able to join us. So it was just a good Sunday all the way around.
Love it. Love it. Awesome. Well, what can people be expecting coming up in the Life of Island Church? I know there's a lot coming up. Easter is kind of sneaky right around the corner, even though it's late this year.
Easter's a little bit later this year. Actually, it's on April 20th. And so we'd encourage you to mark that down your calendar. That's when we have the 19th, we have our Easter egg hunt that we have there at the park just south of us on the west side of the Bayway there. And so we'll have 300 kids, maybe, I don't know, something like that, plus their parents, maybe some of their grandparents. And so we're making plans towards that, some initial work. And then also the next day, we're having our sunrise service, which is obviously
Yeah.
Easter Sunday morning. We'll do both. If you're newer to our church, we'll do a sunrise service
Yep.
before sunrise on the beach or
Yeah.
down at Fort DeSoto. And then we have our normal 10 o'clock service as well. I will try to preach two different messages. So if you're in both those services, you'll get two different messages.
Fresh.
But many people will make one or the other. But I just want to try to do my part on that. We're trying to make some decisions. Some of you know that there was some damage to the Fort DeSoto. It's opened back up in many areas, but part of the road where we had used to hold the service is part of it's about washed out, maybe 75 feet or something like that around the circle. And so we're trying to figure out, do we do it there, or do we come back just a little bit and do it at the place where in the past we've had our Thanksgiving picnic and a baptism service, but we're going to have it.
Yep. We'll be
And
there.
we're good to go. So we're just trying to make a decision as to where, and some logistics with parking and getting there and all that kind of stuff. But we're looking forward to that in April. So that's just the early work. That's really nothing for our people. But as you know, Matt, we're making big progress on our plans for our Bridge to the Future. And that's really a mission. It's just a major mission project of our church.
Yeah.
And it's not something to making life easier for ourselves or better for ourselves or more comfortable. We will benefit from it. Certainly we will. But really, it is a ministry tool to our community to help bridge the church to the community and the community to Christ and to the church. I mean, that's really what that's about. And so, as you know, we're going to be giving out more information, getting more details. We're going to lay out what money we've raised, the people that have made commitments. We're going to be sharing how people can get involved financially in other ways in that project. And so that's going to be coming up a good bit in March and in April. And so people can stay tuned for that. That's going to be a big time for us.
Yeah.
And it's really, we think about, we all are inherited. We inherited things. We inherited the gospel and we steward it. we inherited Island Church. Most of us, there's a few founding members around, but we didn't build the building, but we inherited, we benefit from it. We're thankful for them. And we're trying to bridge not only just to our community, but we're trying to set the church up for the future.
Yeah.
And this building is going to help us do that. It's going to help us with children, with senior adults, with middle adults, with the parents. You and I were talking about even before we went on, the ways that we could combine some things. And so that's really look forward to that. So people in the coming couple of months, they'll be hearing more specifically about that. So that's kind of what's going on. And then our life groups, I mean, just great things are happening in the life groups. I just encourage you to do that. If you would like to be involved in a group, I may come look for you, but you can also look for me. I believe we're about one group short of what I think that we actually need. We have one on Monday night and one on Thursday, and I'd love to see us have one maybe on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. And I think there's enough people to actually do that that would be interested in that. So just let me know, or I may be contacting you. So anyway, but the ones we have, they're going great. People get connected with each other. They're growing in God's word. They're growing in their faith and encouraging one another in their faith. That's really good. So that's what's kind of happening.
Awesome. Well, how can folks be praying for the church this week? I know you could pick a million different things, but what's the one that they can be praying?
Well, there's a couple things here that I really want to highlight. One is, we think about this ministry to children. One of the things we're going to need is some additional people involved in our children's ministry.
Yeah.
And so if you don't have to make a lifetime commitment, but if you would stop and see Stacy or see myself or see Sandy, particularly one of us three, and say, hey, look, I'm willing to help out in this. We really want to make some strides in this area, and we're going to be adding some additional kinds of ministries in the future with the new facility and stuff. But I would just encourage you, if you would just be willing to help us some of that. We're going to have some particular needs on Sunday morning. You'll be hearing more about that in the coming weeks. But I would encourage you to just pray about that. Pray about your involvement, and or praying that God would bring us people that we would need that can help us. When children are so impressionable, and it's so much more difficult to reach a person if they do not know Christ and grow in Christ likeness as an adult. Doesn't mean it can't be done. It's just so much easier when they're children to set some patterns in their lives. And so this is quite an opportunity for us. And then some of you asked me about Leo's situation, Leo Schofield, and I know that he was in that motorcycle accident, and a car turned and hit them as they were just going down the road. He and his daughter, Ashley, 24. And so Leo's back at home. I actually saw him last night, and so visited with him in his home, and he's going to be 12 weeks without being able to weight bear. So that's about another 11 weeks now, close to it, maybe 10. And so he's doing some home therapy. The spirits are good, and he just can't wait to figure out how he can help us to help the church. And so he's doing some reading. Obviously, he's praying for us and cares for us, and he want to pass along his thanks for all the well wishes and the prayers for him and his family as they get settled in post this accident. But it's going to be a long recovery between his ankle and his hands and his pelvic, and so it's several different things there. So just pray for him. And then one more thing. So we talked about children. We talked about Leo, but we do have someone that's given us. That's the good news. Given us the church a stackable washer and dryer that will actually go into the new building, because in the future we may host a recovery group or some missions group, and just having a stackable washer and dryer would be really helpful. And so that's we've already got a spot for it and all that. But until we get the building built, we don't have a spot for it. So if you have room in your storage unit, or you have room in your garage, or whatever place you might have,
or you can stow it.
We just need to store it. And if you can just see me about that, maybe Chris Riley knows about this as well. And so maybe you see Sandy or again, Chris and I, then that would be good. So
awesome.
If you got a place, let us know. And actually, there's a pretty urgent need. We're on a kind of deadline, maybe another week or so, week and a half. It's not tomorrow, but we've got to know what we're going to do with it.
So listen up, everyone. If you don't want it sitting in the lobby of the church on a Sunday morning, someone step up. We know you have storage units. We all have storage units with all the junk in it. So let's help out, put one in there. That way, when we have new building, we're able to serve more people utilizing those tools. Pastor Will, thank you so much for sharing your heart today, letting us know what's going on at Island Church. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you back here next week.